Welcome to the after party. Welcome to the after party. Did you bring some snacks and treats?
Yes, it did.
I hope you got me something to eat.
Maybe.
Welcome to the after party. Coming to the after party.
Right now.
I've been waiting here all day to act like a fool this way. Welcome to the after party. Join us in the after party.
Right now.
Oh, chocolate and gabbing, maybe some microphone gabbing at the after party.
With DJ Airrick, Pete.
Welcome. It's the after party on a Sunday, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know what to call it.
For me, it's a Monday.
Yeah, it's a Monday morning. I messaged Paigey on, I think it was like early Saturday morning for me. And I was like, yeah, we're going to do it, tomorrow or whatever. And then I realized that for him, he would think that meant like yesterday. So I had to reiterate that I was like, no, I mean like tomorrow.
And he sends that in like at like 3 or 4 a.m. my time. Obviously, I'm sleeping, so I wake up and I just send back a gif because I've woken up expecting to do a stream when I see that.
Yeah. So anyway, no, what to do today because I've been really busy. I'm going to show a picture here of home renovations where we're trying to like cause people, I guess, to fall down and hurt themselves when they come into the house immediately, right at the beginning. Let's put on some background music because I hate dead air. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream, and thank you for being here on a weird day for me. I really don't have a set time right now. What I'm actually doing, and I'm actively trying to break the algorithm on my channel because the problem is I think YouTube, when it classifies your channel, your stuff, they think they know where to put your stuff. So I'm trying to purposely like mess with them so I can reset the algorithm for my channel. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but it may not work. We'll see what happens.
We need you should just turn your thing into strip poker and live streams. One of the two, or both.
Exactly. Yeah. So have you watched the Ted prequel series? Fatman Plays Here says the loving three episodes in and loving.
Well, here we go. I've got it. We may as well jump into it because I was going to bring it up, but I've got Paige's picks. I've brought back Paige's picks. So these, because I'm starting to get through my back catalog of things I've been meaning to watch or new stuff that came out. So we can start off the stream by me giving my reviews of the week.
Okay.
I know that you were going to make a theme song, reviews of the week, but with like some auto tune or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'll go through. I have 6 things, just quick reviews and ratings out of 5, which I normally wouldn't rate, but I feel like it's important to rate in this instance. And Ted's included in this.
Let's do it.
So the first thing I watched, well, not the first thing I watched, but the first thing I wrote down, I watched Dumb Money. Have you heard of that movie?
I have heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay. Well, it came out on American Netflix today. So, but it's like about the GameStop stock thing that happened during COVID.
Now it sounds familiar. Yeah.
But it's like a mix of like The Big Short, if you've seen it, and Social Network, and it's got YouTube and TikTok sort of. So it's actually I gave it 4.5 out of 5. I think it's really good. Nothing I really didn't like about it, and it's got some fucking hilarious song choices, especially the opening one. The opening song I was listening to, I was like laughing my head off. I then watched Maestro, that Bradley Cooper, Leonard Bernstein one. I thought it was fine. It was weird.
What is it on?
It's on Netflix. I thought it was fine, but like I didn't love it. But I thought it was okay. I gave that 3.5. Then Ted, I watched the entire thing in like not one sitting. I think I watched like half of the show one evening, and then I watched it like the next day, finished it off. The first episode I think is bad. I think the first episode of the show is actually a bad episode of TV, but it gets better as it goes along. I think the first episode, I don't know if they did the first episode like almost like a network pilot and then took a break, but it feels so distinctly different from the rest of the show, at least in regards to quality. But But there's one specific episode which is like a 5 out of 5, or like a 10 out of 10. But I think the show as a whole is like a 3.5, 4 out of 5. The thing is that the one thing is that Seth MacFarlane, when he's done comedy of it, comedy things, it's always short. This one's a bit more extended, so it feels a bit like either the jokes run too long or the episode doesn't have enough in it, if that makes sense. So that I don't know if that's if you watch it, you'll understand what I mean when I say that. But I think it's still good. I thought it was going to be ass.
What is that on again? What service is that?
It's on Binge over here. I think it's Hulu over in America. I think it's Hulu. I might be wrong though. No, it would be because Fox owns Family Guy, and I think that's who. I think it would be. Oh, it's on Peacock. It's on Peacock. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Well, that makes sense because if it was on Hulu in America, it'd be on Disney Plus here in Australia. So yeah,
right.
That makes sense. It's on Peacock. Yeah. Oh yeah, because Universal made the Ted movies, so that makes sense. So yeah, but I think it's good. It's worth watching, in my opinion.
Hey, email Thomas. How are you?
The only thing is that there is this like cousin character, and she's either really good or really bad. In regards to either fucking hate her and you don't want her in the episode or on screen, or she plays into it really well. So hopefully, if there is a season 2, they make her character more consistent, or maybe that was the whole point. I then watched that Fabelmans movie.
Okay.
The Steven Spielberg, like pretty much autobiography movie. It was actually really good. I sort of wasn't too sure what it was going to be like, and like, fucking Seth Rogen's in that as well. And Paul Dano, and they're both in Dumb Money. I thought Fabelmans was good. And then the two best things I watched over the past week or 2 weeks is I watched. Have you heard of that movie Anatomy of a Fall?
Mm-hmm.
I watched that last night. That's like perfect. Like that's like a 5 out of 5. I'm a big guy on like dialogue and writing, and like this is like the whole thing's dialogue. It might sound weird, but like most of it's dialogue, but it's also like, without spoiling the movie, you got to watch it. It's like one of the movies you got to watch, but it's like, it doesn't give you, it's like a crime thing. It's like a murder mystery. It's like a court case, but it's like, it leaves you without an answer, and you're meant to sort of judge if this person's guilty or not, which I thought was good. I think sort of fit the thing. And the last thing is my recommendation of the past 12 months. You have to watch it. I already recommended it to Eric. He probably hasn't watched it because he's a lazy ass.
I have it in my like to watch list, but no, I have not watched it.
It's on Netflix. It's worldwide. You have to watch it. It's the best show I've watched over the past 12 months. And if it's not in my top 5 or top 3 shows for the rest of this year, I'd be shocked. It had to be a very good year of television for it to not stay in the top 3.
No recommendation of the Bear show?
I haven't watched The Bear.
Oh,
I haven't watched The Bear. It's one of those things. And so this is Boy Swallows Universe. It's an Australian show. You have to watch it. It's on Netflix worldwide. Everyone has fucking Netflix. There's no excuse. It's like 7 episodes. It has like...
But if you have a VPN, you have Netflix for every country.
Well, basically. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, Boy Swallows Universe is like 10 out of 10. So good. I'd read the book before I'd watched the show because my mum gave me the book a couple of years ago. So I sort of knew it was going to happen, but the show was even like, I think still was like surprising and everything like that. But it's got like, for any Stargirl watchers, it's got Brainwave Senior in it. He plays like a antagonist throughout it, and then it's got like Travis Small from Vikings and things like that.
I loved him in Vikings. I don't think I've seen him in anything else though.
He was in Warcraft. He was in that Warcraft movie.
Oh yeah, he was. You're right.
He was in that Warcraft. He's been in a couple of different Australian shows down here.
Is he Australian?
Yeah, he's Australian.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, there's a bunch of people in it. But yeah, that's my recommendation of the week.
Why is it that like all these things that have Australian actors in it, I never know they're from Australia? Why is that? Is it because they all have to do like a
American they have to do. The thing is, the American accent for actors is like the easiest accent to do. So when people go over, they don't really suspect it because it's like, well, it's the easiest accent to do. I think the only thing is if they have to do like a specific region. Like I think an Australian doing like a Boston accent is going to be really hard. Because of how I think Boston and like Brooklyn are the easiest ones to do for an Australian actor going over, I think. But like the basic like California accent or something like that is hard to do. But yeah. So that's my recommendations of the week. I don't know, have you been watching anything that you'd recommend, or have you just been busy twerking?
we've been busy renovating the house. That's what we've
Well,
been doing.
same
But
twerking, renovating.
yeah,
Same.
it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
But in between twerking, we've been watching some older stuff that we hadn't caught up on. So one of the shows we watched was a show called His Dark Materials on HBO Max.
Oh yeah, it's like a HBO show, but it's like I think BBC does it or something like something like.
Either way,
like
it's only 3 seasons because there's only 3 books, so each season is one of the books, and so they.
Well, isn't it from that Golden Compass movie?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the same book, but they're made it proper into a TV.
Well,
series.
the first season is basically Golden Compass. Like the first season of the show is a TV version of Golden Compass, but it's not bad. I mean, I think the 3rd season has been a little for me a little chaotic because just like with any book series, once you're like down the line, everything sort of starts getting, I don't know, it gets a little messy because you've had so many stories. Like I believe the earlier stories are always the more successful ones. Because of that reason. Hey, Gwendolyn, how are you doing? We've been watching that. Pretty much that's it. I think there's a couple other things that we're waiting for. I know Invincible season 2 or the second half of season 2 is coming back soon. And a few other things. And I'm trying to think if we watched anything else that I would recommend recently. We just haven't had a lot of time, and I've been working a lot. I'm working like 5 nights a week now, so just not a lot of free time. But we'll see where that goes. We had a comment here from McLeod who goes, "Did you see the trailer for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle?" I have it up in the browser now. I have not watched it. Apparently, it's a game coming out. I didn't even know this game was coming out. Troy Baker really nailed the vocal cadence in both the physical and facial mannerism of Harrison Ford as Indy. So we'll watch that in a bit. I'm surprised they didn't get AI to do it. It seems like they're using AI for everything now. So I'm surprised they just didn't make an AI version of Harrison Ford to play Indiana Jones in the game. Seems like that's kind of where everything's going or whatever. Cody says there's more books, but they're a bit scattered. You mean of His Dark Materials? Because I think they're focusing on the 3 main books, which is the Subtle Knife book. I forget what the 3rd one's called. But I thought it was pretty good. I did prefer the cast from the movie though over the cast on the TV show, but cast on the TV show is pretty good too. Anyway, I want to show a picture in case you guys are not on Twitter. I know a lot of people left that website, but here's a picture of the hallway entryway into my house. It is an optical illusion. You can, and we put it at this angle so you could see that it was optical illusion once you look at it, because the back half of this is in the hallway, and the front half obviously is in the entryway there. And so, it was a lot of fun. We have a lot of these rugs. Like if you look on the floor, there's a lot of like foul language rugs on the floor.
They don't look like rugs. They look like tripping hazards.
Yeah. What we want to do is we want to just litter the floor with throw rugs all the way down the hallway. So not only will you be like tripped out on the optical illusion, but then when you try to walk, you're gonna fall.
You know what? You should also add like some metal spikes off the walls, and maybe even just like a pit of despair with like other spikes and like broken glass down the bottom. I think that really match this area and really fit the dynamic of Death Trap. Like
I definitely think it would 100%. So, but this is just one part of the house. We're redoing every room in the house, and this is the second one. We redid if you looked at our Christmas video, we redid the dining room / living room area. But this is the right adjacent to that, because if you can see the Funkos over there on the wall, that's the other room that we just got done. So now we're moving down the hallway. We're going to do something else. So we're redoing the whole house. It's going to be like an art house kind of, where you come in and everything sort of like there's so many things to look at all over the place. Anyway,
what's the are you doing the backyard as well, or is the backyard staying?
I mean, maybe we're getting a pool put in, I think, in the backyard, because we have a
hot tub. I thought you
we already have a hot tub. We already have a hot tub.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Mr. Flex. I forgot. Is that on the other side of the Rolls Royce, or is that?
Yeah, no. It's in between my Cybertruck and my Tesla car.
So what's the excuse for no hot tub streams then, DJ Erickson?
Because, well, first of all, YouTube probably would not want that. Secondly, Twitch is overran by hot tub streams. But actually, a lot of the work we're doing in the house, we're doing extremely cheaply. Like, we got a lot of the new furniture on Facebook Marketplace, like people that are selling it and then repurposing it. Because our dining room table, which is a Warhol soup can with like a black and white stripe / checkerboard top on it, we purchased that as a broken office desk. So it was like $30 for like a desk that probably would have, or a table that would have cost us like $200. And then we just repainted it and repurposed it. We probably put about another $20 or $30 into it. So the whole thing was less than $100. And like, I love repurposing stuff, but you have to find the right deals, the right times, and you know, shop around for it. Because anywhere you go, like one of these furniture stores or places like that, they're gonna like charge you way more than what that stuff's
because they charge you for like all the shipping that they took to bring it in and everything like that as well.
It's a mess. Like, unless you're getting it from Amazon and you get a good deal on it, but even then it's not going to be quality because it's, you know, Amazon. So there's that. Anyway, so I've been really busy. So I've been trying to make videos while that's happening and all that's going on. And so I haven't had a lot of time for anything, but I did get a chance to watch Echo. And I know we were going to talk about that this past week, but we'll go ahead and do it now. So you watched the whole thing, all 5 episodes. And what are your thoughts on it? And then we're going to talk about sort of like how it's affected Marvel and Disney, because I've got some information over here about it.
I mean, I watched it all in one night, which is probably the thing that I think 5 episodes was like I was able to watch it because it was only
some of the episodes were shorter. Some of them were not long.
Yeah,
like 34 minutes,
like 35 minutes or something. Like I remember, like it ended as quickly as it started. I was like, yeah. But anyway, I don't think it's a very good show, but it's mainly because of the writing. I think like a lot of the people in it, there's some good ideas, but I think the writing is easily the worst aspect of the show. And I don't know if that comes down to like time, because 5 episodes is so weird. Like it's such a weird number. Like 6 like is even more normal, but you'd think like 7 or 8 is the thing they'd give to this. But like I think the best part of the show is the Native American stuff that they intertwine, and I think that works for the most part, though there is a bit, especially at the end, where it feels a bit rushed and it feels maybe there should be another episode where they could maybe more establish that connection.
I think they needed 6 episodes, honestly.
Even just one more episode, or that 34.
And I'll explain why after you're done. I'll tell you why.
But it was just that part worked, in my opinion, though I still think it was underdeveloped. I think Kingpin was arse in this. I didn't like Kingpin at all. I thought it was sort of, I want to say it was pointless, bring him back that quickly. And I don't think it added anything too much to the show outside of a bit of their.
How did he come back, by the way? Yeah, go ahead.
I think it was pointless having him in the present day. I think some of the flashbacks with him were good, especially how he just didn't really respect her too much. She was just more of a tool. Even the fact that like he is this knowledgeable guy who will go out his way to do these different things, but he won't learn basic sign language to interact with her. Like even just, like he needs like a person to come in and do everything. So I think him in I think, and Justin Shields like Maya Fisk, I think that's the only point he was brought back in the present day, was to set up that Maya thing so they can do that in the Daredevil show. That's it. And I think he was pretty shit in the present day.
How did he come back? Did they explain? He was shot in the head.
Well, and also his eye is fine. Like he didn't like. Fair enough if he got shot in the eye or something, he lived. But like
apparently they gave him some sort of, is it a bionic eye or something?
Like cybernetic eye. Well, I don't know. But anyway,
where did that come from?
Space. I don't know. Like
because Kingpin, even as on Daredevil, he was a street level character, so it wasn't like he had access to Tony Stark or anything like that. So
yeah, but then again, like Misty Knight has like a cybernetic arm. And stuff
but that
like
was explained though. They explained how she had that. They didn't explain how Fisk got the cybernetic eye though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, as I said, there's some. I don't think there's anything in the show that's like excellent. I don't think there's anything in the show where I think they nail it. I think there's just some stuff that they do pretty good, which is like the cultural stuff, which I would be surprised they stuffed it up, because I think it said it. I don't know if it said at the end of every episode or it said it just at the end of the series and the finale that they went to like the local.
Oh yeah. So in terms of production, I don't like to, you know me, I'm hot or cold with studios. I don't necessarily give them all the props in the world, but when production does something right, I think it needs to be addressed, and they did the right thing with this. Not only did they include like Native American input on the show, but they also had everyone on set learned basic sign language apparently, so they could speak with Alaquia. So
yeah, like to that, like I think like that, like I think the whole cultural aspect and the sign language thing was, you know, well done. I I do, and this is like probably just an issue because you don't see so many shows with it. So it's like you don't necessarily know what the bar is in regards to what's great and what's not. I do think it was hard to connect with Echo on a ridiculous level just because she didn't talk. And I don't know if the actress is, you know, how people are really good with acting with their eyes. I don't think she's great at that. So that's the only thing. And like, you didn't get that in Hawkeye.
Well, I think this was like the first major thing she's done, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing she'll probably learn. Like, it's a big thing because, like, you know, she was in Hawkeye, and then all of a sudden she's in front of this, and like she's in like almost every scene. Like she's almost in like every scene. She's she has a lot of it, and it's just like, you know, it was hard. You know, at least for me, like I like to like connect with those.
So I'm not questioning whether or not he could have access to stuff like that. I'm questioning why it wasn't addressed in the show. That's my
sort
question.
of brushed over though. It was a big thing.
I believe that they realized having her shoot him in Hawkeye was a mistake.
Yeah,
that was a mistake. I don't think.
But that even though I did struggle with the like connecting thing on like an emotional level with Echo or the main. What's her name?
Who?
Like, what's her actual name?
Whose?
Echo. Like, what's her name?
Oh, Maya Lopez.
Maya, that's what it was. Maya. I was trying to remember. I did think the stuff with like her cousin and stuff was pretty good as well.
With Bonnie, who also played Kahori in What If. She's another character in Marvel.
Oh, okay. I've seen her in. I've watched Reservation Dogs. I've watched like the first season of that, and she's in that. And so is the dad. Maya's dad, he's in that. But he's in heaps of stuff when they need like Native American.
He's really good. He's been in a lot of stuff. He's in
Fargo. He's in Fargo, and he's in that. He's great in Fargo. But yeah, like I think people saying it's like the worst thing Marvel's done, and that it's like another nail in the Marvel coffin. It's like obviously it's a bit over the top, especially because it's also so low impactful in the universe as a whole. Like it's just like almost like a side.
Well, I mean, it's a spotlight show. It's meant to be like its own little.
Well, I don't think originally it was, but then they probably looked at it and go, "We can just call this a spotlight show." I think it's obviously meant to be MCU. I think putting the spotlight thing on it is a bit of a cop out when spotlight should be probably used on maybe like Elseworlds things they want to do.
I actually think Moon Knight could have been a spotlight show.
Yeah,
Moon Knight didn't have a major impact. So
or that like Werewolf by Night. Like I think putting the spotlight on this Echo show is a bit silly. I don't think
it's really... a little weird. Not only that, because it was a show that was made prior to the idea of spotlight shows, because they came up with that after they decided to redo production. You know what I mean? Like they were already working in the back end about that. Cody with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Cody. He's in it because of his relationship with Maya. It was originally 6, but it wasn't working, so they did 5 instead and streamlined it. I want to point out that, go ahead.
Did they film 6 or they planned 6?
I think they planned 6. I don't think.
Okay, so they just scrapped an episode that was planned. Okay.
So I think the interesting thing for me is that I believe they made that mistake of having her shoot him in Hawkeye because this is the issue with not having showrunners and people working behind the scenes on these shows in a way that makes sense, because they might have been writing Kingpin into the Echo show when Hawkeye was being filmed, and they didn't know that they were going to shoot Kingpin and Hawkeye. Like they didn't know, you know, and they had to do that and add it. Maybe that's why they didn't really talk about it much, because they really didn't talk about it. It just kind of happened. You know, he just came back. I do think the technology to be able to turn sign language into actual words for people was interesting, and for her to see, like, for her to understand what he's saying as words as well. I thought that was interesting to me. It's believable technology. I can see that being something real. So that still felt street level to me in a lot of ways. I enjoyed Echo, but I enjoyed it up to a point. Like, I loved the grittiness of it. I love the tone of it. I think all of that was the right direction for the show. I think Marvel totally nailed that. I think Biscuits was the most relatable character in the show because he's just a guy kind of hanging out in all of this, you know, and then, you know, he gets swept up in everything, and he's dealing with, you know, family members running a store. They don't know how to sell products, which I thought was funny. Like the people coming in asking for generic Native American stuff, even though it was like obviously
They're asking
There's-
for like a dream catcher or something like
yeah,
that.
and it's like
rather than,
but I was like, okay, I didn't think about that, but that is probably something that those shops deal with all the time. And I want to say that I've never made that kind of mistake, but I probably said something stupid like that before in my life. Because I do it all the time here, so it wouldn't be a big stretch.
Yeah.
So my issue with the show is pretty much my big problems with the show is the way it wrapped up, the finale episode. And because I can deal with everything else. I think all the stuff you said, like people connecting with Echo Maya, it's going to be different because I think it's the first show where we've had a deaf character in such an important role in an action series. I don't think we've ever had that before that I can remember.
Yeah. Well, another thing is also there was scenes where like she'd be, sign languaging, and then the person that she's talking to wouldn't necessarily repeat it, but they responded differently than if she just said it.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. But I think it's something that we just need to, like, I actually think it's important to learn to adjust to that, because if we can deal with like Daredevil being blind, even though he's speaking, it's a disability that people have adjusted to, that you have a character that can't see. So it is a little different because she doesn't actually speak every time. You can kind of hear her sometimes when she's saying things. But
there's one scene where she's like, you can see the frustration that she's doing. It's probably the best scene that she does.
So do you think it's more of an acting thing, or is it just the fact that the characters
arguably could be the directing as well? Like really, I feel like there's like, if the person's got capability to do it, but there's like, it's not really coming across. A lot of the time that's the director not really saying, well, hold on, do this differently.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like specific things like acting with your eyes and or even just more like moving your body more. But when she's like really there, she's a lot of time it's just like using, like standing still and using her hands. Which obviously using her hands.
The other thing is we live in an era of distraction. Like a lot of people like to multitask. So when you're watching a show and you have the
it's just like this is almost like watching it's almost like watching a foreign film when she's doing it. Like, and people are like, I don't want to read subtitles. Like, well, for this with your main character, you have to pay attention because subtitles come up to say what she's saying.
But I have to give her credit. I mean, she was acting with some people that are really good. I think Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. I don't know, maybe it was me. Was he overacting a little bit in the show?
I do wonder if there's one of those things where, like, I found it a bit cringe. Like, I don't know why. I think maybe just the voice he does now, like maybe it just doesn't fit anymore. Maybe it's just been a while. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it's just like, I don't know.
Maybe because it wasn't with Daredevil. Maybe that's the difference.
It just sounds like he's holding in. It sounds like he's had like stomach issues or something, and he really knows to go to the toilet. Like that's what it really sounds like a lot of the time. Vanessa.
Yeah. So Daggone, that's the thing is, like, I've heard people complain about it with Echo, but not with Daredevil when it comes to like a character having a disability. And I don't mean that, like, I'm obviously not on board with that kind of shit, but I'm talking about from the standpoint of like being able to pull people in as an actor. I think that Alaquia probably just needs more experience with acting to make it work. I think she'll hit it though. If she stays in the industry, and I don't see why she wouldn't, she's going to get better over time, especially if she's going to be in the MCU. So I know American Sign Language, but that doesn't really change much because it really comes down to the acting. So like for me, even though I was watching it and I understood the vast majority. So here in the United States, we get optional languages in high school. And one of ours was American Sign Language. I could have done Spanish. I could have done French. I could have done a bunch of different languages. But I picked American Sign Language because I had a couple of friends that I knew who were either deaf or partially deaf, and I wanted to be able to talk to them. So I took American Sign Language, and I still know a lot of it, but I'm not like, I wouldn't go up and do a translation for somebody's speech because I don't know every single word. But
yeah.
So Feathers says Echo in the comics doesn't have powers, but she has a photographic references. So let's talk about that for a second. They changed her powers so that she gets echoes of her ancestors instead of like copying other people's abilities. And I feel like this is another one of those Ms. Marvel moments where Marvel didn't like the way the powers would translate from comics to live action. Because we already have a character, Taskmaster, who is going to be in Thunderbolts, already copies people's powers or abilities and moves. I think it would have been redundant for Echo to do that, and I get why they decided to change it. I know the showrunner, well, it wasn't an actual showrunner, the producer or
Head
whatever,
writer.
yeah, said that they thought the powers from the comics were kind of lame, and I mean that's just their personal opinion, but you could question whether or not they should be writing a series based on a character if they don't like the character, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, the change of the powers doesn't bother me too much. I don't really care. But this is where the finale was kind of underwhelming for me. I wanted to see a fight because we got that fight scene early on with her and Daredevil where Daredevil pretty much let her have it. So there was that fight. And then we got a few more fight scenes between, that and the finale. But the finale comes around and there's no big fight scene. There's none.
Yeah.
Which
makes me wonder, it turned very low budget at the end. Like, I wonder if that was in like that barn or whatever it was.
Yeah. Well, because here's the thing. You got to see Biscuits driving a monster truck, right? You got to see Henry, I think that was the guy's name, Henry, the guy at the skating ring that was helping her, who was working with Fisk or whatever. He had a gun. He shot at the guy with the grenade launcher, whatever it was with the gang there. It was, trying to attack the community. And then we go inside the building and we see Maya and her family versus Fisk. And we get that really cool scene where we see all the ancestors and all that. And I thought that was neat. And then that's it. It's like a couple punches and kicks and then it's over. And
which makes you wonder, they didn't know necessarily. Because to me, this show didn't need some big fight scene. Like it could have been really just about the relationship. If they really wanted to include Kingpin, that relationship there, and also just Echo, tapping back into
I feel like, to me, like, I don't say this very often, but I feel like that's sort of a bait and switch from what they set the show up as, because she was an assassin for Kingpin, known for fighting, and then by the end of the series, we don't really get a fight. I mean, I don't know. I feel like even if it didn't need it, that's kind of what the show was setting up. Because we had like the train heist and all this action. And then we get to the end and we even give her a costume to wear, like a super costume based on her family and everything. And then nothing really. I felt like we needed another episode. I feel like that last episode was extremely rushed and we didn't get it. Because I'll be honest, when we were watching it, we had friends over and they were wondering what she even did to Kingpin. Like, what did she do? Because we saw that she went into like his memories and showed him, things that he's done in the past and how awful it was and blah, blah, blah and everything. But what does that even mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because we see, spoiler alert for the end of the show, we see at the end that he's going to be running for mayor. So did she actually do anything to him? Like, what happened?
I guess you have to wait until Daredevil season.
That's what I mean. Like, so this isn't even a spotlight show technically because it sets up something for another series. So I thought that was kind of a weird name for Echo. I feel like Spotlight might be an excuse for them to go, we're not going to make a season 2. That's what I think.
Like, it's limited series. Spotlight equals limited series.
But overall, I've seen a lot of ridiculous criticism about the show. Like, I think everything we've discussed is pretty standard, but I've seen people complaining about it being a woman as a lead show, Native American, she has a disability. Like, none of those things are actually criticisms of the show. It's just criticisms of the premise of having a person with a disability in a lead role, or someone who isn't a man in a lead role. Like, there's kinds of videos. I'm so tired. Like, we've talked about this before, and I'm getting to the point where I think it's obvious what those channels are doing and what those people are doing.
Oh, it's just, I mean,
and you commented about it the other day, and it made me think about it. I'm like, you know what? It's fine if I want to like make a video and talk about it on video or whatever, but I think even taking anything they do as serious criticism is a mistake. Because it's not what they're doing.
Because it's just, it's just like, and I've said it before, like a lot of times with these things, it's just, it's not even nuanced because it's intended like over whatever it is, whether it's overreacting or underplaying, whichever way it goes. And as I said, I think I said it before, like I saw people saying it's the worst thing to happen to Marvel ever, and I'm like, but you said the same thing about the Marvels, and then you said like this is better than Secret Invasion. Like, I'd watch this again. Like, obviously, it's got less episodes, but I think it's still better than Secret Invasion. Nothing fucking happened in Secret Invasion. and then it ended with a fucking weird ass fight. Like Secret Invasion was ass compared to this.
But you have to remember though, that's the reason why Marvel is changing the way they're making TV shows. These shows are why they're making them better. That's why we're going to get a better Daredevil because of this.
Yeah, like I think it's just like, like is it? I think this is like just really mid. Like I don't think it's like offensively bad, but I also don't think it's good. I just think it's. I think
Jasmine, I will not disagree. I think Inhumans and Iron Fist season 1 were the worst things that Marvel has done. But
like I don't know why they made it. I don't think the show needed to exist in like in regards to like furthering anything really in the universe.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I don't think it's like this like crime that it does exist. If that makes sense. Like
well, you can ignore it. That's the thing is if you
just don't watch it,
right?
Like let's be honest. Did any of those channels that are blowing up about it, they go in thinking they're gonna like it?
No, probably not.
So, like, what the fuck are they angry about? Like, it's like if you went and watched, like, if you go watch Superman Legacy, Eric, and you hate it, then you have a fucking right to go, what the fuck happened here?
Well, I've said this before. When people spend like 6 months a year saying how much something is going to suck and they go and watch it, what do you think their response is going to be?
Or what's the
mentality all of a sudden going to be like? Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if they spend 6 months going, this is going to suck, this is going to suck, and then they go and see it, do you expect them to come out and be like, oh shit, it was the bomb? Yeah. No, they're going to come out and be like,
that's why I don't watch trailers and stuff like that a lot of the time. I don't think I saw any trailers for this show. I think I just saw like stuff on social media.
I saw the clip of her fighting Daredevil. That's the only thing that I really saw.
Well, I saw like a still, like it was like first look at Daredevil. And I was like him like lying.
But look, the thing is though that this show caused a bump in viewership for all of the connected shows, which is I think why the show came out anyway, why Marvel put it out, because Hawkeye's numbers went up, Daredevil went up, and I believe what was the other show that saw a bump? Punisher.
It'd be all those Netflix shows.
Punisher went up. Yeah. So all the viewership went up for that. So there's always a reason for something. Also, I believe the reason why they dropped the whole season at one time is because in order for episodes.
I have to say, if this released weekly, I don't think I would have watched past episode 1.
Probably not, but that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like after episode 1, you needed episode 2 because episode 1 was really just a
and like once you get to that, like what you can do 3 weeks of singular.
Exactly. So they just said, "Fuck it, we're going to put the whole thing out." And so it makes sense to me. I had a couple comments here. Wait a minute, that one we already looked at. So, but yeah, it caused a bump in all the viewership, and the show's actually performing really well for them, which I'm happy for them. You know, it's good, whatever. I think, and this is something I think by 2024, you're going to hear me say this a lot. We need to just be like, it was okay. It was good. Like we don't need
nothing. We don't need
stuff to be awful or great.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I was saying. Like, it's sort of like when we're talking about like where people just don't know which side to pick. It's like, oh, which side do I pick? It's like you don't have to fucking pick a side. You can just be in the middle and go, yeah, it was okay. I didn't hate watching it, but at the same time, like I wouldn't.
Not everything needs to be the villain or the hero. Like you can literally just have something exist. But the flip side is now. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, I wouldn't recommend the show to anyone, but at the same time, it's not like I sat there going, oh, I wish I had all those hours back.
Well, I will say this: like, if you had any inclination to watch it, it's only like three hours.
It's 5 episodes, and like like what, like 4 of them are about 40 minutes. So that's about So then it's just over 3 hours. So it's like Killers of the Flower Moon is like 3.5 hours.
Right. It's like watching a movie a little longer than a movie, basically. So if you wanted to watch it already, but if somebody told me, if you came to me and you said, "Hey, Echo's out. I don't really have an interest in it. Is it worth watching or whatever?" My response to that would be only if you really want to sit down and watch it. Like, I don't think that you should go out of your way to watch it unless you want some prelude to like the Daredevil series, which is getting reworked. And I will say though, this show is a perfect example of why I think moving back to the old format of hiring proper showrunners, hiring a proper writer's room, giving us like 10, 13 episodes a season, all of that is necessary. And I think that's why they need to go back to it.
Well, I don't know if you necessarily like 10 to 13 episodes, but you need because this episode, as I said, like this series, the writing is not very good. Like I think, at least in regards to like beginning to end and what they were trying to piece together, especially for 5 episodes, like really like when you get to longer things, that's where writing can become an issue. But like I just wonder if like it had a more focused view in regards to what it wanted to, because it did bounce around a bit.
Yeah.
But this, as I said, it's still got stuff that's okay. Nothing's excellent, nothing's great, but it's still stuff that's okay. It just, I think that the thorn in the side of the show is that the writing just isn't very good.
Right.
And that's what, like, I think really affected it come the end, like in that finale.
But I actually think, regardless of people's criticism of the MCU, I think having showrunners is going to help that. I think that will help.
Even if it's just in regards to a consistency basis from episode to episode.
Yeah.
Like, that's such an important thing. Yeah. Whether even if it's episode to
And look,
episode or
the Daredevil show, which is the big one we're going to see with all that, is the stunt coordinator from the Netflix series is coming back. So they're going to be there doing it. They're supposedly bringing back all the actors. So all the characters are coming back. Foggy and well, I think actually that hasn't been confirmed. So we're not going to say that, but supposedly all the actors are coming back to the series. I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case. But it seems to me like they're going to properly try and continue that story, and they've canonized like all of that. So apparently Iron Fist is now, that is the canon Iron Fist in the MCU, is the Danny Rand one, and it's supposedly Colleen Wing is going to be coming back as well. I think I saw, where is it at? Did I have it saved? No, I didn't have it saved. Anyway, apparently Colleen Wing is coming back to do a project in the MCU. So I'm excited for all that. I think ultimately the direction Marvel's taking, moving beyond into 2025, we're going to see quality go up. And I mean, that's a win for everybody, because I can't shill if everything is mid. So it all has to be like 10 out of 10 perfect.
Marvel chill, so I did expect that coming in. Like,
so She-Hulk, no season 2 apparently. Tatiana Maslany said they weren't going to be doing a season 2. I'm going to be honest, I didn't expect a season 2 of She-Hulk.
Yeah, I didn't expect it either. Like, I think if you're probably gonna see the character show up in a movie like to be in Secret Wars.
I didn't realize this, but apparently they blew the budget. Apparently they went above the budget to make the show work because of the VFX. But I said this from the beginning. How are you going to have She-Hulk, a fully VFX CGI character, as a major character in a TV series every single week?
Yeah.
How are you going to do that?
Yeah. Like, I didn't care for the show, but at the same time, like, if it gets season 2, I wouldn't have watched it, so I don't really care. But I'm not surprised at the same time. I think that also, like, did it really tease season 2? Didn't it tease, like, wasn't like the end credits?
It set up something for the Hulk, but that was it. It just teased the Hulk stuff with the sun.
Yeah, like, so you're probably going to see the character in, like, Kang Dynasty or, what is it, Secret Invasion? Or no, Secret Wars. I
mean, let's be clear here also, she didn't want to be a hero. That was the thing. Like, the whole series was her. Yeah, she was She-Hulk. But just like in the comics, the story was more about her living her life as She-Hulk than it was about her being a hero. Because She-Hulk as a superhero really was a superhero only when she was teaming up with other people, because she was there to help out. Like when she was doing stuff with the Fantastic Four, with the Avengers, things like that. So I think we will see her come back, but I don't think we're going to see another season. I'd be really shocked. It would be way too expensive, especially if they're going to go back to like a regular format with a showrunner and stuff. I don't know how that would work for She-Hulk. I don't think a lot of the old shows is going to come back in the way they did before. You know what I mean? No. Like, because I don't think Loki would work. Like,
my big thing is that I think like what Marvel wants to do is they really want to have this connected thing over film and TV, and I think DC has to do the same thing, and I don't think they will, which makes me think that the DC thing is going to work at least consistently. Choose your TV characters, choose your movie characters, and that's where they lie. They can cross over and stuff, but don't have a movie character get a show and they all try to set up a movie with a TV show or vice versa, because it's just not going to work. It's just not going to consistently work, and people are going to have issues with it. Like Secret Invasion was continuing on from Captain Marvel, and everyone was like, is it going to connect to the Marvel? So you're doing this zigzag from film to TV to film to TV.
Right.
Just make it TV. Just make it film.
That's what I mean. Like the beauty of the Netflix Defender shows is it was its own little pocket universe. Those shows crossed over with each other, and then they led into like a crossover, like Avengers team up series. And like for Young Avengers would be a great like Marvel special thing, like Werewolf by Night or the Guardians of the Galaxy thing. Like have them all come together for a 1 hour action-packed thing as Young Avengers, and give them all their individual shows. And then you can have them show up in the movies once in a while. But I do think the testing the waters with having TV shows as main leads in movies with like the Marvels, which I believe should have just been Captain Marvel 2. I think having it as the Marvels was like a big risk for them, especially considering they weren't able to promote the movie. But I think regardless of whether or not that failure had to do with the writer's strike, did it have to do with advertising, whatever it had to do with, that's going to affect them taking TV stuff and putting it at movies. And I do believe that actually is what drove them to go back to the old format on the TV shows, because they want to make Marvel TV shows, but I don't think they can continue to do them the way they're doing them. The budgets are inflated. There's, they don't have proper showrunners. They don't have a proper writer's room for this. I just think the way Netflix was doing the Marvel shows was the best way. It was the best way to do the Marvel shows.
Well, it's even just like you look at like WandaVision, which I still think is the best Marvel show.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's completely like underdone, if not ruined, by Doctor Strange. Like what they do with Wanda in that movie.
What you mean, like doing a second season? Because now you would have to do this. You would have to go WandaVision, Doctor Strange, WandaVision season 2.
And the thing is, especially if Agatha is a good follow up to WandaVision, though I'm not really looking forward to it. I don't really care too much about it. If it is a solid follow up to WandaVision, it goes, well, why do they bother with do they really have to do the Doctor Strange thing and include all that stuff? But then there's also like.
But I've said for a while, I think that phase was an experimental phase for them.
It was definitely.
I
wouldn't even phrase it as an experimental thing. I just don't think they knew what they were doing, and they just thought that they could. I think Feige's never done TV, and he just jumped into.
And a lot of that was Bob Chapek, who's no longer with Disney anymore. He's the one that pushed for a lot of that.
And again, like I don't think Feige was like, we need to make TV. It's like, well, we got the streaming service. You're making TV. We get to make decisions when, but one thing I'm really curious about is Captain America 4. Does it underplay or undo things that were done in Falcon Winter Soldier, especially because some of the stuff in that. Now
they're changing all of it. Like apparently they're reshooting the vast majority of that movie,
and that makes you go, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And they so I don't know.
Well, I don't always listen to the trades because we know that a lot of times they're now just out to like sort of like make everything look bad. And DC, if you're DC or Marvel, they're gonna try to shit on you or whatever. But the idea that they wanted to make it a bit more action packed because they didn't think the action scenes were very good. To me, that sounds like it's going to be better. Like if they're going to go back in and make the action scenes better, I'm totally on board with that. I do believe they're probably going in and changing stuff because of the fight that's going on with Israel and Palestine right now, because of some of the stuff that was supposed to be in that movie. I think they're changing a lot of that too, because they're already getting criticized for their
knowing their luck by the time the movie comes out, like everyone's just forgotten about that.
So I truly believe that, or at least I hope that what they're doing is going to be a good thing for the movie. I believe all of this is good. I think honestly, this year I was really worried. I'm like, we're not going to have a ton to talk about. There's not a lot of shows. There's not a lot of movies or whatever. I think for the health of like superhero media, we need this year to sort of decompress a lot of this stuff and come back next year with new stuff.
Well, I think it's hard to tell whether what Marvel's doing is good, but I think it's definitely better than just staying stagnant and keep doing what you were doing. Like they might make the changes and they might not work, but at least they're doing something because it's just not working at the moment.
Right.
And that's, as I said, it's my concern with
DC. It took DC to get 10 years to the point where they're like, this isn't working. We need
but it's not even that, but they've jumped into the same problem that Marvel's in with the crossover thing. And the only example we have is Peacemaker with a TV show connected to the DC thing. And Peacemaker itself was very disconnected. It always felt like it was in its own world for the most part. So that's my worry, is like, hopefully that DC's done its planning, because Marvel seemed to jump into it fairly quickly. But yeah.
Do you want to address this from Lance?
So hello, people. Hair looking luscious. I was back.
You've been back for a minute.
You've been delaying the streams. You've been going, hog the toilet. I can't stream.
So moving into DC stuff, Justin, this was from earlier, said, are we going to talk about the Flash movie news? So disrespectful to Chris. Did you see this?
I'm really confused by that, because I remember that article. I think we might have gone over it. And because they were talking about like how the cameos came about, like specifically Nicolas Cage. And then that's when we learned that Helen Slater had she'd gone into Warner Brothers to do like mocap.
Mhm.
And they said that like the only thing that I think the trade wasn't too sure about was how they got the George Reeves thing, because what's his
because of all the
estate.
drama. I watched that special that you suggested as well. How the fuck did they get permission to use George Reeve after that? I was like,
Oh, did you watch the
there's
thing
no
on
way.
his life?
Yeah.
What happened to him? Yeah, like because it's tragic what happened to him, and like
Yeah.
where does the legal stuff go with him? Like, is it just up for grabs? You can do it.
By the way, what Justin is talking about is the using Christopher in the Flash movie. Apparently, the family estate did not give them permission to do, according
which
to
reminds me,
family.
how do they even?
Right.
Which also is because I think Barbara Muschietti also said that she actually said that they got approval.
Right.
So I'm really confused on that whole thing. Like, what happened there?
Yeah. So I guess we'll have to wait on that because that's relatively new. I think that came out yesterday.
Well, it's because there's a Christopher Reeve documentary coming out.
Yeah.
Well, it's at Sundance, so I don't.
Yeah.
Might come out, might not. Who knows?
Let me see what else we have here. We talked about Daredevil. Did you see that Jesse Eisenberg told Nicholas Hoult not to watch his Lex Luthor?
And then I saw a thread saying why Jesse Eisenberg is the best Lex Luthor. That I was on Twitter last night. That made me close my laptop. I'm not even joking. If I opened up my laptop, it would be the thing there. It'd be that stupid thread. I don't know if it was a troll either. I clicked it open and then I saw 3 different things and they were defending it. And I was like, oh, someone took their stupid pills today. How can you defend Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor? I still till now do not know if it was a troll.
Was it a Snyder? Was it a Snyder cultist? Is that who it was?
It was like some DC account. Like I know it was like Hero something. It was on like the For You page, and I was like, "Oh, okay, well."
Is that's why you don't ever go to the? You said you don't go to the For You page. It's because
I've been
stuff like that. So.
For some reason, whenever I like reload Twitter, I'm getting automatically taken to the For You page. Even if I go to like DMs and then I click home, I'm going to For You automatically. It's not going to my just following page. So I'm seeing a lot of stupid shit. I saw someone today say that Warner Brothers Films has no control over DC Studios. Yes, they fucking do. They're the film distributor, idiot.
Right.
They can decide how many movies DC.
Peter Safran and James Gunn answer directly to Warner Brothers.
They can go, oh, James Gunn, you're down to 1 movie per year. Enjoy that. That's literally what they can do. They are the only people that have control over DC Studios outside of James Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw someone say they don't have any control. They are the only ones with control outside of James Gunn.
Yeah. But yeah, like saying that Jesse is the best Lex Luthor is like saying that fucking the Snyder, not the Snyder, the Suicide Squad, Jared Leto Joker is the best Joker that's ever been in DC. Like, just no. I don't dislike that Joker, but definitely not. And his Lex didn't even really like the whole piss in a jar thing from BVS. No.
And also, that was like very dehydrated urine as well, like H2O.
Drink more water.
Water. Drink a water bottle.
Water.
My water bottle.
We also had some controversial comments made by Rachel Brosnahan about her Lois Lane this week, where she said that her Lois Lane, she described her as feisty. Okay, that sounds like Lois.
Well, that's Lois Lane. That's
marvelous because of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, a show that she was on as well. And fiercely intelligent. Again, that's Lois. So people were getting upset about that, and I'm like, that's literally Lois Lane. Have you never read the comics? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I think people are just finding things to get angry about. The only like, I do wonder. Like, I still have concerns about the cast for Superman Legacy, though I don't think it really matters at the end of the day either. My main concern is like there's literally, if you went up to the street and showed this cast, probably like 9 out of 10 people will go, I don't know any of these people. Outside of maybe Nicholas Hoult.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just because he's been in a couple of big things. But if you said Nicholas Hoult,
I think that's a good thing though. I think it's a good thing.
I don't necessarily think I wouldn't say it's a good thing, because you probably want some people to go, oh, I'll go, like a general audience who might not care too much about Superman go, I might go watch this because this person's in it. But at the same time, I don't think it matters because it's Superman.
Right.
Because you got to remember, like, when they did Man of Steel, like, and the thing is, Superman Legacy might do the exact same thing, where they get someone that's notable for Mark Kent, Pa Kent, and Jor-El. But like Amy Adams wasn't the Amy Adams she is now.
No, but
Obviously,
people
no
know
one
her
knew.
now, but back then they didn't really know.
Like she was
her
in like a
that,
couple of things. Like I think she might have been nominated for some awards for like one role by that point. But even then, that might have been by the time Man of Steel came out, not when she was cast. And obviously, no one knew Henry Cavill unless they were British because he was in a couple of British shows. So like it was Kevin Costner, Russell Crowe, and Diane Lane were like, and Michael Shannon were the people there. So with Superman Legacy, they might do the exact. I'd assume they do the same thing because like if you're going to do a Marlon Park Kent, you're probably going to get some like important scenes. And then I don't know. I think he said that Jor-El's probably in it. The Fortress of Solitude's in it, and then Jor-El's probably going to be in the Fortress of Solitude.
Maddie, there's probably a lot of reasons why James is casting people he's worked with, but yes, a lot of the people he's worked with are big stars, so people would know them.
But it's also one of the things you have to wait and see. Like I am to say I'm like anxious about this entire new DC thing is an understatement because I'm so nervous because I'm really nervous for Superman Legacy coming out. This
is like Superman Legacy, right? None of this stuff that we're getting is going to stay on anything if this falls. If Superman Legacy falls,
it's not like it has to make a billion, but man, it has to like be good and also has to make people on board. And I'm just so anxious about it. Like I don't know, it's just like the thing. It's in the back of my head going. Whenever I talk about it, I think like it just makes me go, is it gonna work? And then I'm thinking about like just the connected universe because it's like with Man of Steel that came out and then 3 years later they connected the universe. We're getting shit straight after it. Like Waller could come out like God knows how soon after.
Jordan is coming out the gate here and saying 500 million plus.
I mean, exactly. If it made 500 million, that's a disaster. I want to say it's a disaster, but it's not very good. I don't know. Like it's way too early to do box office predictions because we don't have a trailer. Don't know what's coming out around the same time.
We don't even know the budget to the movie. We don't know what the
budget. Well, the budget's probably going to be like 200. It's a Superman.
You think so?
I'd be surprised if it's not. And I mean, like,
so hypothetically speaking, how would you react if they came out and said the budget was 90 million for Superman?
I'd be like, well, Shazam did it for 70, but then again, Shazam wasn't ridiculously high scale. But at the same time, it's like I don't know how they could do it for 90 unless it was like mass tax things. Oh yeah, I don't know. Like,
what if they came out and said they did it for 25 million?
Well, that's fucking stupid. Like you're just being an idiot now. But the thing you know what I think matters as well.
What?
What are the announcements? So Superman Legacy starts filming in like what 2 months, just under 2 months or whatever it is. What happens? I think what matters is what happens after that point up until Superman Legacy comes out. So who's cast as which character and everything like that.
Right.
Obviously, trailers are important. Like if your trailer isn't that good, then that might not make people that enticed to go watch it.
I'll be honest. I think a lot of the bad stuff that we've had from movies this past year were from trailers just being really bad.
Yeah, just them not. It's a mixture of either them showing too much or not wanting to show too much, and then it being an issue. But obviously it's way too early to think about box office and stuff. But I'm just worried about how this universe is being formatted because I think there's just a lot happening in a small amount of time, and I'm just wondering, like, because James Gunn has, regardless of, like, I think James Gunn is one of the better choices in regards to a creative aspect. Maybe it comes down to Peter Safran whether he can balance it well on the producing side. But it's like, how do they balance all these different projects and stuff and whether they work? I'm still worried about the movie and TV thing. That's my biggest concern. Superman Legacy is an individual thing. I think it'll be a fine movie. If people go see it, whatever.
Before we talk about the next subject, I'm just going to thank him for the super chats because these are just... Did you see the super chats?
Yeah.
So, this is from Gary. Gary. It's from Gary. I'm not going to even check and see if it really is Gary, but thank you for the super chat. And I'm going to let you kind of, like, the chat can decide what the answer to this is. I don't really have an answer for this. I don't even know if I want to try and give an answer. Thank you for the super chat. And there's a follow-up super chat about breastfeeding.
I don't know. I know Lance breastfeeded his children. So
did he? Lance, do you have to do breast milk or whatever?
He might be the guy to ask.
Oh, by the way, I think Gwendolyn just said it. The Ironheart show, wasn't that done ages ago? Now it's not coming out for like another 2 years or like another year or something.
Yeah, here it goes. Gwendolyn. The fact that we have to wait to 2025 on Ironheart when the show's supposedly done has been a while for affiliate the part of the Marvel Disney. Well, the worst part about that also is that's one of the holdovers. That's a show that was done in the era of like no showrunners, no writers' rooms. Like it's like a movie broken up over like several episodes. So I don't know. I have no idea. I want to say this. I think the whole Ironheart stuff has been handled very messy with Marvel, the way they've done the character. Because having her in Wakanda Forever felt weird to me. I mean, I loved her in the movie. I thought she was really good. I don't think the movie needed her in there, to be honest. I felt like it was one of those things where we're introducing the character or whatever, and then we're gonna put out a show. But shouldn't the show have come out shortly after the movie? Wouldn't that have made the most sense? You think?
Makes a lot of sense that would have been the case, or at least within a decent amount of time. Is that the only show that's filmed that's in the old reign that's
Agatha.
still yet to come?
Agatha.
Oh, Agatha. Okay. Because that's got the same people behind it as WandaVision.
I think so. Yeah, I do believe it is because
it might be a bit more fluidity.
Yeah,
there.
because the head writer came out and said that they were approached about doing something with Agatha, and they were really excited about it. So yeah,
that might feel a bit more cohesive. Yeah. While Ironheart might.
They did say that's going to feel like a direct sequel to WandaVision. So
what happened to that character at the end? She just
Wanda made her like not evil or something. I have to go back and watch. I believe she basically told her she wasn't going to be evil anymore. I think she kind of did to her what was being done to everybody else, but she's the only person that was affected like that. But
okay,
I have to look though, and Cody probably knows because Cody has a memory of like much better than mine. But I think that Agatha has been changed a couple of times, and it's basically going to be a show about setting up new characters for Young Avengers, I think. Or that's kind of what it's going to be.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Gary says, "Are you mad at me?" I'm not mad at you. I don't know how to answer the questions that you super chatted. Like, what am I supposed to say? Like, I don't know. I don't think about Iris doing those things. But no, I'm not mad at you. Maybe it really is Gary. I don't know. It's a mystery. We got a couple more things, but I want to talk about the one thing that we had in the thumbnail before we move into our final topics in case we wrap up early. But Superman and Lois. Okay, we're starting to get a little bit from that. We know they're filming. Bitsy Tulloch put out some pictures of her on set. Well, not on set, but in her trailer and stuff like that. And the show is coming together. What are your predictions on when the show is going to get released?
Well, you'd think around June, July, but there was that thing, and it didn't really necessarily relate specifically to Superman and Lois, but it was more network TV as a whole coming into the end of the back half of this year, is that a bunch of shows, especially heavy hitters for networks, they will delay them for the fall season because
they want that big boom on
your show. A big thing is Emmys. So the Emmys, the cutoff is the Emmys are usually in like September or October or something like that. So you're not going to start your show. Emmys are usually they were only last week or something like that because the writer's strike delayed them. But with this thing, you might see a bunch of networks delay a lot of their shows that might be eligible for that. And now I'm not saying like Superman, Lois, and a lot of the CW stuff is, but you might fall in line with the rest of that stuff. So I don't know if that's going to be the case. We'll probably find out sooner rather than later, but if that's the case, if they delay that until fall, so let's say it's the end of September or early October,
we might actually have like a normal season for us.
It's not even that, it's just the delay between the end of filming to that would be 5 to 6 months between the end of filming because they're going to finish filming in April.
But I will say though, for me, I kind of like the idea of going back to that whole, coming out in October-ish.
Well, one of the big issues is the fact it's only got 10 episodes. Would you just do all 10 episodes at the end of the year?
I think they might do 5, then mid-season, and then do the final 5.
Well, that's the only thing. If they did in June, July, they just do all 10 episodes back to back to back. If they had to do a week off because of something else happening, then they do that.
I think if they release it in would you say like October, September, end of September?
Yeah, like usually
October?
fall premieres are either like last week of September.
They could do
or
5 or 6 episodes and then take a mid-season break and then come back for the final episodes in the winter.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it doesn't matter really. I mean, it's the final season.
Well, the thing is, the most likely thing is that it comes in like June, July, but there is that option where they do delay it to the fall thing. I think it probably depends on also like a bunch of the other shows as well, because they've only got like what 4 originals. It's the 2 All-Americans, Walker, and Superman and Lois. Well, they've got more originals. They did that wild card show.
Yeah, but I do believe that after these shows end or they wrap up these shows, the network is just going to be.
Well, the thing is that
TV at that point,
isn't Superman and Lois the only one that's got this is their final season? The other 3 are most likely going to get renewed because they haven't been set as a final season.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why Superman and Lois might go in June or July, just because it's the final season anyway.
Yeah.
There's no necessarily thing to fight for ratings.
But I believe though that show brings in viewership for them. Why would they not want to have that?
Well, the thing is that they probably pair it with something. They probably pair it with Walker. Oh no, they probably wouldn't. They probably pair it with some like stupid shit
to pump up something else.
Yeah, to pump up that other stupid crap.
Yeah. By the way, I want to say that because of the whole writer strike and the TV networks not doing what they should have done, we have NCIS Sydney airing on network television now because there were no shows.
Well, I think it was always intended to air on network, but it's like it airs on Paramount the week before or something, so you get it a week later on network or something like
There's
that.
a lot of shows I'm seeing though that were like it came out a couple years ago.
I've seen some clips from it, and I don't know if it's an Australian person writing it or it's a person who's just examining Australian, because there's some things in there, but I saw a clip and it was just like, it feels like someone doing like a caricature. It was like, because like this is the thing you haven't nah, like you go nah, yeah or something. So nah means no, nah yeah means yeah. But I saw the clip and the person goes nah, yeah, no, yeah, no. It's like no one fucking talks like that. No one says it like that. You say yeah, no, like you say it like that. So it feels a bit like inauthentic. And then like I saw that like the first episode is a shark attack in the harbor, which I think they're based on I think that happened to a real guy who like lost his legs, which I thought was a bit fucking grim. But well, did he lose his legs or was his arm? I can't remember. It was like a bull shark got him in the harbor.
He lost his head, I heard.
Well, without your head, not doing much there, are you?
Gary with the super chat. Are you mad at me? No, not mad. Thank you.
We were furious before the stream started.
Yeah, before. Do you think? What do you think?
Do you think I should have kids?
Think I should have? Oh, okay. It's all broken up there, or whatever. I mean, whatever you want to do, Gary. I think you're a little young still to have kids, but best of luck for you, whatever you decide to do there. Okay, we're going to run through some quick topics here. Warner Brothers is reportedly open to developing multiple shows in the Harry Potter universe. I made a controversial tweet about this saying it would get canceled because Warner Brothers isn't holding on to anything. But you seem to think this might be immune to the cancellation that Warner Brothers
I was saying, Harry Potter as like an individual property where it's just Harry Potter in that universe is the most beneficial universe for Warner Brothers in regards to a franchise. It's more beneficial for them for DC. Now, if you said Batman, I'd say, oh no, Batman's bigger than Harry Potter, 100%. But in regards to DC as a whole, when you start including characters like smaller characters that they're planning projects on, easily Harry Potter. And I did see people going like, why is J.K. Rowling involved? Because she owns the rights. I did see that. I did see that she was rumored to be part of it or whatever. I don't know if there's been anything an executive producer, but there's a difference between an executive producer and a producer for a TV show.
An executive producer doesn't have a lot of hands-on work with the.
An executive producer is just like the title says,
to get paid.
Just,
you want to get paid for the show. Yeah.
So she would, and like really, her thing is just like greenlighting decisions. Like with Hogwarts Legacy, for example, they had to go, okay, this is our rough story for the. This is a rough idea for the story. These characters introducing, and she just gets I don't know, she'd use a green Sharpie, but it goes tick, tick, red X, don't like that, change that up a bit, come back to me, tick, tick, tick. But this is based off the books where I guess she'd approve castings, maybe. That's the only thing I think they would.
So my
They're not going
question
to
is
change anything in
though,
the story because it's the books. Like
is,
the whole point of the show is to
did they
make them
say
more
this
like,
is for HBO or Max?
it's for Max, and that's so that makes me a bit questionable because that means probably a smaller budget, but it
Yeah.
depends how they go about it. Like I don't know, like because you could. I don't know. Like it depends which way you go because you could argue the movies maybe like overdo it with some of the visual stuff in regards to how big certain things are. So maybe bringing it to like a smaller, more personal thing probably isn't a bad idea, but it depends how it is. Like if it looks bad, it looks bad.
I
I'm
want to
looking
say this
forward
though.
to it.
Yeah.
No, you
Well,
go.
I was going to point this out that I see a lot of people already starting to do like they were doing with the Hogwarts Legacy thing or whatever. If you don't want to watch it, like if you don't want to support J.K. Rowling, you don't want to support Harry Potter, whatever, I'm okay with that. Like I'm one of those people where each project you have to decide whether or not you want to support it, you don't want to support it. However, the concerted effort to try and ruin like Hogwarts Legacy backfired and made the game popular when it launched because of that.
It had to be the biggest backfire
right
for a cancellation thing. You could argue ever.
Right.
I think it sold 22 point something million copies.
I would say this. I'm not going to be like, I've already said that. We've talked about this when the game came out. I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, so I'm not like rushing to watch the episodes when they come out anyway. But I know a lot of people love Harry Potter, and there's a lot of people that are upset with J.K. Rowling because of all the bullshit she says online and how harmful that is to certain communities. I'm totally behind that 100%. I think that it's great to call people out when they do dumb shit and hold them accountable for it. But we've already seen that Hogwarts Legacy was more successful because of the campaigns. So I would say with this shows, if you don't want to watch them, just don't contribute to it. Don't talk about it. Don't hashtag it. Don't do anything, because it seems like that would be the best way at this point. If you don't want to support something, is to just not engage with it, because again, if it becomes highly popular because people wanted to cancel it so much, it kind of defeats the purpose of the activism against it.
I think it's also just people wanting to be David against Goliath at the same thing. Like, hello, it's Harry Potter. Like, fair enough if you're going up against any other thing, but you're going up against one of the biggest franchises.
But the other thing is that there is no reality, and this I've said this on other podcasts. There's no reality where J.K. Rowling is never going to be rich. She's already rich. Like,
yeah, like so, like
you.
Yeah, like I think it's sort of like
you can trash her all you want, but going after anything with Harry Potter at this point, it doesn't matter. She's already rich. Like, if you don't want to support her, don't support her.
She gets her money from it just being made. Like, there's her money. She gets it. It doesn't matter if the show is like, she probably want the show to be good, obviously, but it doesn't really matter. And then like
I don't necessarily want to contribute to her making any more money, but she's already rich.
Yeah,
she's already.
Well, to be honest, the funny thing is
I'm not going to be watching it. I didn't play Hogwarts Legacy. You did. You played it.
Yeah,
I never played it.
Yeah.
But like, I'm already doing my part. I'm not spending money on any of her stuff. I never have. Like, even when I went to see Harry Potter in the theaters, I never paid for the tickets. I went with friends.
That's because you went in Hagrid cosplay. That was the.
So it's the other thing. I'm not going to bully people to do the same. I've seen some really weird stuff when it comes to Harry Potter things. Like, I've seen people go into other people's streams and like leave death threats and stuff like that because they're playing Hogwarts Legacy. I don't condone that kind of shit, but I absolutely 100% support people that do not want to spend money or support something that they don't believe in. I've
always felt this. A lot of the times when people are like overly vocal with their boycotts and stuff. I mean,
where's the accountability? Where's the accountability? You can't.
But it's even like with like even the stuff that's happened of recent with like don't drink Starbucks, don't buy a Big Mac because the company.
But then who's holding that person accountable? It's a personal accountability.
Everything has every big thing. Like, nothing gets rich with being like ethical.
Let me say
everyone's got
this.
Skeletons in the closet if they got big things going on.
A good example for me, the perfect example, is. For my entire adult life, people have known, and I don't know if you have these in Australia, but Chick-fil-A. Have you ever heard, or they have Chick-fil-A's in Australia? Or?
No, but I've had Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
It's
very nice.
So
Chick-fil-A is very vocally conservative. They're closed on Sundays. They've supported anti-gay, anti-trans legislation. They've been very much against all these different causes. And everyone that I know is like, I don't eat at Chick-fil-A. I don't buy stuff from Chick-fil-A. Okay, cool. I don't either. Right? I think that their food's mid anyway. But people
I thought it was nice and I had it. But then again, I think it was nice because
it's really salty. Their food is really fucking salty. I don't like that much salt on my food. I like seasoning, but I don't like that much salt. Anyway, they say that they've been boycotting it for years, right? Chick-fil-A is still an extremely successful company. So what that comes down to is personal accountability. You have to decide whether you want to contribute to that ethically. Do you feel good about doing that? And if you don't, then that's fine. Keep your money to yourself. Don't spend it on that. I totally support that or whatever. But outward boycotts of that company have never done anything. I understand that people want to do it. They want to make a difference or whatever. But when you're talking about something as large as like Harry Potter or Chick-fil-A or even Walmart or Disney or any of these other companies, it doesn't work the way it does for like a small
the issue is that half of the people that you'll see being like, oh, I'm not watching this Harry Potter thing. No, I'm boycotting. Fuck whatever it is, Starbucks. They're tweeting off an iPhone or some smartphone that's had to have the cobalt mined with like underpaid workers in the hot sun.
Yeah.
Don't use a phone then. Yeah. That's affecting people on a day-to-day basis. Don't use a phone then. You know, or they're wearing socks or they're wearing shorts or they're wearing a shirt that was made by some little kid in a factory in Southeast Asia that's arguably working for nothing or being paid peanuts. So it's just like, shut the fuck up. Do your own thing. If you want to boycott it, fair enough, but don't bully people because yourself are probably a hypocrite.
Well, that's the thing, Quindlen. Do you remember the conservative boycott against Bud Light?
That was the weirdest one ever because I was like,
well, it didn't work out. Like, here's the deal. Kid Rock was seen drinking Bud Light after he made videos denouncing Bud Light.
Can we get a Kid Rock karaoke time from Eric?
We cannot.
What's the song?
Down.
Yeah.
We're not going to get that. We're not going to get that. That's what I mean. Like, it comes down to personal accountability. So when you get online and you get behind a movement, I 100% understand. Look, I've been behind many movements myself, but there's a reason why I pick and choose. There's a reason why I pick and choose the things I do. Yeah. I think drawing attention to something, like,
or bullying people into like, you know, like trying to like cult it up or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to take the wind out of anybody's sails. You do you. Like 100%, you do you, whatever you want to do. But I feel like everybody on the internet already knows the awful people and they already know the people that they like. They understand it. They get it. People have already picked their sides a lot of times. Unless you're speaking to someone who is completely outside of the bubble, they've already made up their mind. Honestly.
Yeah.
So Maddie says, watch Stranger Things, you support Noah Schnapp. Use X, you support Elon Musk. I don't agree with these statements, but it's the same ideology. You know, I also want to point out that I think the way you handle things with personal accountability, you have to decide what works for you. Again, and you can't expect everyone to sort of just understand how you feel about something or do what you want to do. But that goes with relationships too. So for example, if I know someone that is supporting, you know, something that I don't support, I have to decide ethically, is it worth it for me to be like, oh, I'm just going to completely cut that person off? Or is it one of those issues where like we can move beyond it? This is the internet. I think the internet was a mistake sometimes.
I was sitting there and thinking, because have you seen this like recent war that started between Zoomers or Gen Z and millennials? They're all like trying to debate. Like,
I heard about it, but what is it?
Like what's the best period? So I guess like that's like, I'm sorry if you went to high school from like 2015 upwards, or you were in high school at that time. Sorry, a bit ass. Like, because and the main issue is that like social media was too big. I think social media ruins people's like childhoods. Like now, and like the teenhoods and stuff, and just having an iPhone in your pocket all the time. Like I think
you're sounding like a boomer right now.
Well, I'm a millennial, and I think I personally grew up in the best time.
Sure
I had that healthy balance of video games, which are decent enough to play, but also not having a phone constantly to be stuck on Twitter and stuff like that. Like we had like early social media, like Bebo. Remember Bebo? Like Bebo and MySpace and Facebook. But now it's just too much. Like,
MySpace was based as fuck, by the way. I miss MySpace. When you went to
I
someone's
saw the
page
funniest thing.
and a million things had to load, that was fucking hilarious.
I saw the funniest, and that was back when like maybe didn't have like greatest internet. I saw the funniest thing. It was like they were like, oh, they say that if you everything you put on the internet is there forever. You're never going to be able to get rid of it. And someone's like, well, why can't I find my MySpace photos from 2006? And I was thinking about that, and I was like, I remember like years ago trying to log into MySpace, and they don't have the photos, like because the database I think was deleted, so like the photos aren't there for a long time unless you were still active. If you were still active on MySpace,
I'm trying to.
And I was like, that's like one of the funniest things.
Yeah, I just looked for images under my old MySpace account, and it's not there.
And it's like they're deleted, and like that's either a good thing or a bad thing. It probably depends what you're doing on MySpace.
My MySpace was lit. My top 7.
The top 7 friends. Shit,
was great.
But I think like with MySpace, like bands kept like music. It was still like a music
hub.
Well,
because
like,
now it's become like a like indie music site or whatever. So
but I think that's thing like nowadays is that like a lot of the kids are just like chronically online.
We got 10 minutes left, but I got a couple of topics quickly. Madam Web being disconnected now from the Spider-Man universe. What do you think about that?
I was confused by that because I saw the thing where they got the time period wrong. I'm like, for what though? For what Spider-Man did they get it wrong? Did they get it wrong for? Because I kept people saying, "Oh, they got it wrong for Tobey Maguire's," but isn't the whole point of the movie that May Parker's pregnant with Peter Parker?
Yes, that was
at the time. So that would mean that it's for Peter Parker that in like late 2010s, that's when he gets his powers. So it was more lining up with Tom Holland's, but even then it was too late. Like they set it too late in the timeline.
It should have been in the 90s. It should have been in the 90s,
really late 90s or maybe like 2000 and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know how they fucked that up. Like, wouldn't that just be like the outline?
I feel like this Sony universe is just for them to hold on to these characters.
Well, I don't know why they just don't allude to Spider-Man, but it's a different Spider-Man. I don't know why they just don't do that. And they don't have to use the character.
Cam says they got it wrong for both. Peter was born in 95 for Andrew, and Tom's was born in 2001.
Yeah, and so they would have had to have probably set in 2000 for Tom, I guess, if May Parker's pregnant, or like depending on how far along she is or whatever it is. Yeah. I don't know how they stuffed that up by, like, fair enough if they set it in like it was like a year off or something like that, but they've missed it by like 2 or 3 years. So I don't know how you screw the pooch there.
Paige, this is the final question for the day, and it's a really important one. I saw this on Twitter. Hulk versus Kratos, who would win?
Oh, I don't know.
It's a dumb question because it's whoever the writer decides, but
yeah,
I feel like if we're talking about just based on power sets, I think Hulk would just crush Kratos.
Well, actually,
I believe that people started doubting Hulk because of the MCU. That's what I think.
Probably. Here's the question: which of the Sony movies rank the Sony movies from in the top 3 of how good you think they're going to be? So you have Venom 3. There's 3 Sony Marvel movies. So you have Venom 3, Craven, Madam Web. Which is the best? Which is second best? Which is the worst? Your predictions.
Ooh. So, have you ever seen the movie Showgirls?
Yes.
Okay. In a weird way, I think...
I don't know how Showgirls is connected to any of these movies, but...
Listen for a second. Let me explain it to you. You're missing the point. You have to close your
mouth and open your
ears.
Talk.
You have to pay attention, Paigey. This is really important. Okay, so... Here we go. Showgirls was a so bad it's good movie where you can go back and you can laugh at it because it's just cringy in all the right ways. I think Madam Web has the potential to be that movie. Like a movie that might be so bad that it actually becomes good.
Okay.
I think because look, people are talking about the costumes for it. Like some of the costumes are not great. Some of them are pretty cool. But there's a lot of just weird shit going on with Madam Web in terms of production and the way they've said stuff and everything. So I would say Madam Web has the potential to be so bad it's good, which would put it smack in the middle for me. So then on opposite sides of that, what do I think is going to be the best and the worst? I think Venom 3 is probably going to be the most entertaining of the 3 movies. So for me, if I can eat popcorn and be entertained, it's a good time. So I would say Venom probably would be the potential best for me. I think Craven looks like pure dog shit to me. I don't think Craven is going to be good at all. The special effects look really cheap. It looks like a made-for-TV movie. I really have no interest in Craven, but I'm going to go see it because we only have a handful of movies this year. So maybe that's how they'll make their money. Maybe because there's no other big superhero movies other than Deadpool coming out. I mean, we have the Joker, but I don't really classify that as a superhero movie. So
yeah, I've Craven at dead last because I just think it's going to be arse. I don't have any sort of faith in that movie being half decent. I actually am pretty mixed between Mad and Web. My main reason for that is because Venom 2 was so shit that I'm like, could Venom 3 be even worse? Because if it is, then I think Mad and Web might be a 1. And my main reason for Mad and Web is that it seems like it actually flowed pretty well. I don't see where it could just be the writing that's bad, but I don't see it like faltering on a major scale. Though the reshoots and stuff may put a question mark on it. So to be safe, I'll put Venom 3 at first, Mad and Web at second, and Craven at third.
Sydney Sweeney in a bodysuit. That's funny.
Yeah, Venom 2 was so... I think people underplay how bad Venom 2 was.
I haven't watched... Should I go back and watch it? I haven't watched it recently.
So bad. It's horrible.
But you know what ruined that movie for me? I've said this on other streams. Venom's weakness is loud noises, and he goes to a rave.
Yeah.
And he talks.
Well, I don't know if that's the biggest issue. I think
that is the absolute biggest issue for me, is that he goes to a rave.
Well,
that's
okay.
The biggest issue.
Can we... So here's the thing, Eric. This could be selective torture or elective torture, you're surrendering yourself to it. Could we get a Sony Spider-Man universe rewatched via the eyes of DJ Airrick in the lead up to this? Mainly that's just the Venom movies and Morbius, but
God, I feel like Morbius was a different movie before it got chopped up in editing, but I don't know if it would.
What would you rather watch, Morbius or Hostel?
I don't know. I haven't seen Hostel in forever, so.
Would you rather watch Morbius or The Human Centipede 2? Or just no, you have to watch the entire Human Centipede trilogy.
Morbius, though.
Oh,
100%.
Morbius.
Morbius, 100%. Robert here says Ezekiel can give them the means to get to Andrew. He's talking about the Madam Web movie. I don't know. I feel like the Sony Venom verse is kind of a big problem.
Actually, here's the thing, Eric. I mean, it sort of goes in hand with Hero's Journey's thing, but I'm sort of ignoring Hero's Journey's thing at the same time. What was the worst movie you watched last year? What was the movie that, if you remember, you go, that was fucking ass? I know my answer.
Last year?
Yeah, so 2023. You can even include something in the early bits of 2024. If you
Rebel Moon was the worst movie I saw.
Okay, we agree. Rebel Moon was so fucking ass, it's not even funny.
That movie there's nothing redeeming about Rebel Moon. Nothing.
Yeah. Actually, is anyone in the chat a Rebel Moon defender? Like, you're not going to get insulted. I just really want to know, is anyone legitimately a fan of that movie? Because you know what, Eric? I've never seen something that was talked about so much fade into obscurity so quickly and no one talked about it. I was seeing that shit trend for like...
It disappeared. It was like for 2 weeks, it was kind of in the conversation and now it's gone.
And you know what else? I haven't watched it, but I've talked to someone who has been watching it.
Oh, Ben is apparently a fan of Rebel Moon.
No, but I think Ben was doing that because he was trying to probably score an interview with Zack Snyder.
Oh, okay.
I think that was it.
It doesn't actually take much to get Zack Snyder on a stream.
No, I mean, he was on wasn't he on like a Geeks and Gamers thing anyway? That Percy Jackson show, I don't see anyone talking about it anymore. And I think it's still going.
It is. It's still on. Yeah.
I don't know what happened there.
Left.
I have talked to someone who's a fan. They're like, it's one of my friends who's a bit younger. They're like 4 years younger than me. And so they're in that Percy Jackson like age range when the books were there. And they say that the show's taking itself too seriously. and it's a bit boring. It's still good, like it's still made well, and it's still following the books, but it's boring. Like, and it's taking itself too seriously. Like, it's forgetting that the kids are like 13 or 12 years old.
Yeah. So my thing with that is, and I said this when we talked about it a couple weeks ago, is I just don't think the show's made for me. Like, it's just not a.
Well, I've also seen people say it's also not a show that's really great for live action. It's more a show that you'd probably do in animation, but it's a show that wouldn't garner attention too much,
right,
if it was animation.
So I think Percy Jackson, and this is no offense, and I think I said this last time we talked about it, because we know that we watched CW for years or whatever, but it's a Disney Plus show that feels like it should have been on the CW. That's kind of the vibe it gives.
Well, I've heard the show isn't like bad to the point where people turn it off. It's just nothing where people are talking about it. The way, because it's just that like it's just moving along at a whatever pace, but it's just not that ridiculously entertaining, which I was surprised by, because, and we're just talking about Harry Potter. Everyone was like, I can't wait for Percy Jackson to come out. And people said that Harry Potter's not that good. But the show, if that's what, like, I haven't watched it, so it's hard for me to like really judge on it. But I'm basing off like the people that are fans of the books that are watching it.
I think it was made for the fans of the books. I don't think people that didn't read the books are into it personally.
I don't know, but that's a danger for Disney, because if it stopped this like discussion, like it really should be like the fans that drive the show. And if they're going, oh, well,
where's the advertisement for it? That's my question. I don't see. One thing that Disney has dropped the ball on is they don't hype up their shows between episodes. It's like, once the show is out and they release it week to week, they kind of just let the fans talk about it.
So when you think about, even if you think of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., just network shows and stuff like that, what was the thing that sort of got people hyped up throughout between the end of an episode and the next episode outside of a cliffhanger?
What do you mean?
What was the thing that got people going, oh, okay, I'm interested to see what happens next episode outside of the previous episode itself?
The tie-in with the bigger stuff, like outside of the
trailer.
Oh, yeah. The trailer, yeah.
A trailer or a promo. Like, I'm surprised they don't do like in the next episode of Percy
not just
Jackson.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. though. That was the CW shows. Like, a lot of times we'd get that like after.
Well, that's what I mean. Like network shows as a whole. Like, so the CW shows obviously did them, but then even like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did them and everything like that. And I think even like obviously HBO shows do them.
Yeah.
And then they go into HBO Max and that plays into it as well. So I do wonder if. So wait, has Percy Jackson been doing trailers?
I've not seen them.
I'm just basing on that because like Marvel doesn't do them for the Disney.
Oh, he's at the end of the episode. That's not what we're talking about though. We're not talking.
Oh no, that's the same thing. That sort of plays into the same thing. Though I didn't realize they did that.
I actually think trailers work better when they come out like about in the midpoint between episodes.
Well, I'm fine with either or because it gives you the taste of the next episode. Because like that would usually happen on network as well. Like when the credits roll, they'd play the promo.
Fetman, I'm not surprised at all by that. That doesn't shock me at all. It's Percy Jackson. I get it.
Well, also that. I mean, Secret Invasion was Secret Invasion, and Loki came out during the strike, didn't it?
Yes.
So there's no things there, so there's no real promo. I think Loki was the show that built up, didn't it, throughout the season?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah.
Look, Loki season 2 was good. I think season 1 was still better, but season 2 was good.
That was just the thing. Like, I'm not slating the Percy Jackson show. It was just the thing when I thought of Rebel Moon, how quickly that also just like faded from like I'm seeing it on social media all the time. The Percy Jackson show fell into that as well. But I don't know how the format is with the books and everything, whether it's meant to be like this thing week to week. That's the thing that's the thing with the Harry Potter show as well. Like, I don't think that show is going to be this thing where like that'd be a show to me that you drop all at once, but they're not going to do that because they want subscriptions to run.
Yeah.
I don't see Harry Potter trending that much. One, because everyone knows, especially when you're doing like the first few books, like you just watch the movies. Like, I don't think it's going to be
so. Let me tell you my issue with Percy Jackson. I think is Percy Jackson is a show that follows that chosen one format, and I hate that now. I hate that idea.
Well, yeah, because it's
like a chosen one.
I think that's probably because there's a lot of like the superhero stuff as well that falls into like the hero's journey.
I like the idea of some sort of more organic way that someone falls into their role, or someone that actually has some sort of connection with other characters and that drives them to make their decision to do things. The chosen one thing is a traditional trope that has just been overused. So I'm more excited to see things that don't follow that path. You know what I mean? Like that's and I think for me, Percy Jackson, again, if you read the books, you probably love this. But for me, as someone coming into Percy Jackson without a lot of knowledge of the books, to me, it feels just like generic hero's journey number 20, 200, whatever it is. That's really what it kind of feels like. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying from an outsider perspective, that is how I view the show.
What's new? What am I saying here that I
you
haven't
have this,
seen here?
Yeah, you have this one kid who is just good at everything because they are supposed to be. And I don't want to see that. That doesn't entertain me anymore.
Well, yeah, I think it's just more like, once you get all those different things there. But as I said, it's like I think the people that read the book don't care, which I think is the same. It will go hand in hand with like Harry Potter or even like a comic book character or whatever it is. You don't really care because it's like, well, I'm just looking forward to seeing this done the way I wanted in live action for the most part.
But I'm not knocking it. Like, here's my thing. Like, that's not for me.
So I can't knock it.
That's not for me. Like, there's a lot of people that love that. And if y'all love it, then keep watching it. But for me, it just feels, and I know this came out in the 90s, right? I think the books came out in the 90s. So I realized
I don't think so. I think Percy Jackson's a 2000s book.
Was it? I know his Dark Material came out
because
in
the thing
95. Harry Potter was 97, I believe.
The only reason I say that is because Percy Jackson, the fandom for Percy Jackson is like after the Harry Potter fandom.
Okay, that's so why it might be early 2000s then.
Yeah, that's the only reason I think it must be in the 2000s because it was.
But
yeah,
I just like 2005.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I just feel like it's a here's this kid who's just living his life. He wants to be a normal kid. He finds out that he has magical powers. He meets a bunch of other magical people who've been doing it for a long time, but it doesn't matter because he's the chosen one. He's the one that has to do it. His father is this person. He gets to go on all these adventures. He gets to tell everybody how like, oh, I'm great and I'm right and you're wrong and blah, blah, blah. Like that style of storytelling, I need a break from it. I need a break from that. We can go back to it at some point. Well, but
I'm fine with that storytelling. Like I don't mind that if you get those different things there. The only thing I've just heard is, and I think some people have sort of backed up in the chat from what they've done, is that the show is just a bit boring. And I don't know if that's because they may be adapting it too much to the source material, where there's just things that play out in a book, where maybe it's character development, and maybe it's not translating from page to screen that well, because that's a big thing with the book. Sometimes something that works in a book and you're just reading and it's blending in your head, it doesn't translate that well to screen, or at least if you don't execute it correctly. So that's the only thing I've seen, is that like people just saying it's boring, but the show's still enjoyable. It's just not maybe on the level that they thought it was going to be. But that's the book people talking from what I'm saying.
So you know what? If it goes on to be successful, congratulations. I'm happy for the
I'd be surprised if it doesn't get. If it doesn't get, I don't know how many books there are, but I don't think it's like on Harry, like 7 books. Like I think it's like 4 or 5 or something. It'll do that just because also Disney or Disney Plus specifically, the streaming service, they need franchise stuff that is outside of Marvel and Star Wars.
Yeah.
They need stuff out of that. So they have this book franchise where, look, I don't think you're going to get a season per year, because I think they started filming this show ages.
Well, it didn't work for Willow. They tried to do Willow and that didn't work out.
But I think Willow was a hard one because that's an older movie and stuff like that. And I don't know, that felt like it was a bit of a harder one to sell. But like with this, but then again, I think they stuffed up with that Artemis Fowl thing. Remember they released that Artemis Fowl movie? That's like a massive series of books which they could release as it wouldn't surprise me if they try and reboot it and do a series.
That movie was not good though. That was
they might try and wait until Percy Jackson's maybe a bit.
Yeah, that movie dropped the ball. It wasn't very good. The acting.
But Artemis Fowl, I remember reading those books when I was like 11 or 10 or something like that, when I was really young. I remember that I used to always get they'd always get one for your birthday every fucking year, the Artemis Fowl.
So this is the last thing we're doing. I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm avoiding any kind of like Deadpool 3 spoilers, because I feel like that the reason why Marvel films the way it does is because of this stuff. Like people going out on set, taking pictures of things, spoiling things super early. And, I wish Canada Graphs was here, because, you have a lot to say about this. But there's some things where I'm like, okay, I don't mind getting spoiled on that. But there's some things where I'm like, I wish I wasn't spoiled on that. Even as someone who makes content, like I want to be excited for something. And sometimes the spoilers get to be a bit too.
Well, to be honest, I don't know if the spoilers are too much for. The only one was that one where from a month ago or something. That one was like, oh, okay, well that's a bit of a spoiler. I I don't think the spoilers have been too much. Like, I think that might be a good thing for Deadpool 3, though.
I've seen
because,
someone saying that they're showing spoilers of variants and stuff like that. I don't want to see any of that.
but I
don't
don't know if that
see
really like matters too much. Like, I think it's if there's like limited spoilers to the point where like then there's like these massive things in the movie, I don't think people really care too much. So I don't know if it's like that big of a thing.
I don't
It's probably
think
more
people
like
in mass care, but me personally, I don't want to see those spoilers.
But like, how like close are they to finishing filming for that thing? Can they be filming for? I
mean,
know they had to take a break.
They were over,
like,
weren't they like halfway done or over halfway done when they took their?
I don't know, because all these set photos are coming from the same thing, aren't they? That big open.
But I think that's the
area
third
with,
act. I think that might be the third act.
Yeah, but I think it's just being scattered, maybe just due to like that's like the filming schedule and stuff like that.
But my whole thing is that I've noticed there's certain things that if I get spoiled on it, it kind of ruins me going into the movie. But
also,
this is our only big movie of the year. Like, I want to be excited going into this movie.
But you know what also another big thing is, Eric, and it happens with me a lot, even when I was like watching some like the TV shows and stuff like that, because depending on how close it is to the ending, or like from filming, like when that happens or when the leak comes out to actually watching it, a lot of the times I forget until it actually pops up on screen. I'm like, oh yeah, that was meant to happen. And you still get a bit of a surprise there. So a lot of the times, like, I don't really mind too much unless it's like remember, like, I don't know if anyone remembers, but when No Way Home was coming out, and not No Way Home, Endgame, and there was all those leaks like literally the week before Endgame came out, because like some like investors in Saudi Arabia or something like that, their kids got to watch it at home and they took photos on their screen. So it showed like, I think it showed like it showed Captain America with Mjolnir.
Oh yeah, I can't remember.
All on Twitter. I think it might have showed like Tony Stark about to snapping with like the gauntlet on his hand.
Yeah.
I've got a couple. It was like a bunch of leaks before, like the week of Endgame. That's annoying. That's fucking annoying. Like, that is like a leak where you're like, fuck that. Who posted that? Kill them. Maybe not kill them, but
I think people are confused when I said the only big movie of the year for Deadpool 3. I'm specifically talking about superhero movies. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, not the only movie in all existence. Like, we got like 5 superhero movies this year, or comic book
like the one that people would care about was spoiled.
Is Deadpool 3? Yes.
Like, there's still Joker. Like, Joker could make more money than Deadpool 3, but in regards to like spoilers and stuff like that, like Deadpool 3 is the one that's going to have. We know it's going to have the cameos and the thing that people are don't want to be spoiled for. Like, I don't think people are going to care if Lady Gaga.
I really love the Deadpool franchise, so for me, this is just as important as like a Marvel or a really good DC movie. Like, I really am excited to see.
Well, no, you're just shilling because it's Marvel.
Yeah, that's what it is. Perfect Image with our last super chat of the day, 199. Are you okay for less Marvel but Sonyverse? Are you okay for less Marvel but Sony? I think you're asking, am I okay with less Marvel if the Sonyverse it comes through or whatever? I think that's what you're saying.
I think it's saying like if like Sony gave up the Spider-Man rights, maybe.
Well, either way, I don't care. The Sonyverse is dog shit. Like, I don't. For me, they fucked up. They fumbled the bag on what could have been the best thing for them. And in my opinion, the best thing is when they had the hype from No Way Home with Andrew Garfield, is get him back on board for another Spider-Man movie, connect it with Venom, and do a symbiote type story with him and the Venom that they have already, and make that a film, maybe a 2-part movie, or even just something with Venom and Spider-Man to share it together. I feel like they just completely fumbled the bag on that, because Andrew Garfield had such a massive comeback moment in No Way Home to greenlight another Spider-Man movie that would have allowed him to like go on and do something else with Sony, since Tom Holland is tied up with Marvel, and they just didn't do it.
Yeah.
The only thing in Sony that I like is the Spider-Verse stuff. Like, that's pretty much it at this point. Madam Web, all those movies, they look to me like they're just going to be. Well, Madam Web isn't part of the Sonyverse. What is the Sonyverse? Madam Web's not connected to anything.
Madam Web is now in its own Earth, unless it's in the same universe as the Venom thing.
But
and
no,
Craven,
they said it's
because
not.
Is there even a Spider-Man in their world?
So what were they originally trying to line it up to connect with Andrew Garfield? And if they were,
it sounds like
they're not giving Andrew Garfield another movie.
I don't know. It sounds like, because if it was with Andrew Garfield, they missed the mark by a while. If that was with Tom Holland, they only missed it by a couple of years. with what they were planning. So I'm sort of confused what they were even
Such a
intending to
mess.
do.
Such a fucking mess. Anyway,
And the thing is, that movie comes out in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's like it's 2.5 weeks.
It's a Valentine's movie. Yep.
Are we going to get a Madam Reb rant, maybe flip the car review?
Maybe.
Driver for Cliff. Hi guys, Eric here. I've just seen Madam Web. It's caused me to do with it.
Boom, 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 like all down the road or whatever. Yeah, I didn't get a chance.
I can just imagine like your phone.
Oh my god. Andrew Garfield's my favorite Spider-Man as well, Maya. Anyway, that's pretty much it. We're out of here. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back at some point during the week, I guess. But that's going to be it for the stream on a random day of the week. Let's do it live. So we'll talk to everyone next time. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for all the Team Airrick members. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the fun stuff. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.